Hi folks, this is Vicki at patternprincess.com. Today I want to show you two different crochet techniques that work really nice when you're making ribbing and doing projects with ribbing for scarves and hats. And these are actually going to be fingerless gloves, just a really simple beginner pattern, but you can see looks the same on both sides. And this is just using Caron Simply Soft in a size H 5.0 millimeter hook, and this is just a single crochet in the back loop. Okay, I'm going to show you how to do that, and I'm also going to show you how to single crochet in the back bump. There's a back bump from your initial chain stitch, and that's how this looks on the bottom. The reason that you do it is you don't get these big unsightly gaps on the bottom that you would if you just do your single crochets into the top loop. So we do that into the back bump because that way when I'm making something like the brim of a hat, right? And I actually did a really nice ribbing in this in my very first cable blanket I did. So that pattern will be coming out soon. It's on the back of my sofa right now, and oh my goodness, it's gorgeous. Anyway, I'm going to show you how to do this, and just to make sure when you read the directions, if they're not clear, you're not sure where to put everything, we're going to get our slip knot on here, slip loop I should say. So anyways, if you're not sure where to put things, that this video hopefully will help you. So now we got our slip loop here, and I'm just gonna, you can usually follow whatever pattern you're using, but I'm just gonna do like 10. I'll do 10 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, nope, not 6. I goofed that up. Hang on, you back it up. So where am I at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 chains. See where I had that loop? I didn't catch all my loops. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so now often when you're going to crochet into when you do a chain stitch like this and you do your first row of crochets, you're normally working into this top loop right here. Well, that can pull, and it can pull pretty big sometimes, especially if you're going to add a border on all 4 sides of the blanket or whatever you're making. And sometimes I really hate the gap that it creates, and I don't think about it when I first start the pattern. My loop pulled small here because of what I did, so I'm going to redo that loop. Okay, so when you go turn this, so this is the top loop. When you turn this, there's a little back bump right here. Hopefully you can see that. There's a back bump on every single stitch. What we're going to do is we're going to skip the first chain by the hook. You don't count the loop on the hook. This is the first chain. We're going to skip that. So when we're done, we're going to only have 9 single crochets. So we're going to do a single crochet in the back bump. So we insert our hook, yarn over, bring it through. Got 2 loops on the hook. We're going to yarn over and go through 2 loops. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to insert our hook in the back bump, yarn over, bring it through, yarn over, and go through 2 loops. And we'll continue to do this all the way across. You don't want to have real loose stitches, but you don't want to have real tight stitches either. It's nice to have a uniform size stitch so that your work will actually just look uniform, and that, to be honest, it just comes with practice. You'd be surprised if you're a newer crocheter how many stitches you end up doing when you're making something. If you really counted them out, you'd be astonished. So we have back bump all the way, and I have 1 more. So this is the first chain here. And if you were having it facing you this way, you'd see that top loop here you'd normally work in. But there's right here, I'm sorry, I had a cough and I got a tickle in my throat. Okay, we're back to this here. So anyways, we work in the back bump right here. And let me get this out of the way, make sure you can see this. And this is your last one. Let me make the loop bigger so you can see. See how nice that looks? You don't have any big gap on the bottom here. It looks very nice. So if you're going to count it, you count your top loops here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I started with 10 chains. So by skipping that first one, you have 1 chain less that you're working, okay? Now we're going to turn it. And then this would be the repeating pattern to make the ribbing all the way through. So we chain 1, and then you work in that very first stitch, this very first loops right here, because you're not going to work in that chain 1 that you just made. That doesn't count as anything. That just helps me work inside of here. And I'm going to go into the back loop, yarn over, bring the yarn through, yarn over, and bring it through 2 loops. That's your back loop single crochet. And then you go through the next back loop, yarn over, bring it through, and yarn over and go through 2 loops. Go through the back loop, grab your yarn over and go through 2. And we'll continue to do this all the way across, right to the end. And I want to make sure I show you on the end to make sure you have the especially if you're a beginner, to make sure you have the last stitch. See this? That's your stitches that you skipped, but there's right here, you got to make sure you do a stitch right there. Oops, I just did it through both loops. I need to do the back loop only, pardon me. So that row is done, and you could, if you wanted to, count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So every single row. Now we're going to turn it, and I'm going to chain 1. So every single row, you should have 9. And I'm going to work in that very first loop, back loop, and then we go to the next one. This is just a very nice repeating pattern. Once you have the length of whatever you're making, it's kind of nice. I'm making fingerless gloves out of that blue yarn that I first showed you, and I'm going to really be making it to size. I'm measuring as I go. I measured my first chain stitches, and then I'm going to measure it along the way to make sure I have it the height and width that I wanted. And that's it. You can see on both sides how I'm starting to get that little ridge created. And that's all there is to it, to do the back bump single crochet and then the back loop single crochet. All right, so be watching for some more patterns to come out, but I hope that you give these 2 stitches a try. Thank you for watching. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe.